So one thing that I feel like I used to avoid a little bit, and we've heard a lot about it today, is change. I didn't like change, I guess. I've come around. Change is good. It's inevitable. Impermanence is a thing. So this is about that. This poem is about that. It was the best poem I'd ever written. But I didn't actually write it down. I'd love to recite it, but now it is where it is, somewhere much more enlightened. I learned a meditation technique. It's a valuable practice to assist with the practice of living. Participants must remain under the program disciplined for 10 days. It's very difficult in many ways. One of the requirements is absolute silence. At its finest, there's no interacting. There's no reading, no writing, no pens, no paper, no reciting poetry, no mantras, no prayers. On day 1, I did Tai Chi. In my head, I got fed up with the mind banner, discouraged from this painful practice as the mind only continued to race faster, filled with excitement but mostly dread for these 10 days ahead. I did all 108 moves of Tai Chi, but only in my head. On day 3, I was back in grade 3, and I could feel the heat of my grade 3 girlfriend on my lips. I remembered she had a high fever. I really wanted to kiss her. She told me not to in a playful kind of whisper. She didn't want to get me sick. Well, we kissed anyways. I did get sick, but it was totally worth it. On day 4, I learned that I was there to be still, but I was scared to be still, and I learned to be still. Begin this long process of a mental refill, top up the gas tank of the mind, observe the rickety wheels of this human being, hubcaps are hanging on for dear life as I coast over this rocky traverse. I learned how to observe my breath with patience, with respect. The sound, the sensation, the ripples of time across the upper lip, I felt lighter. During a rest period walk, eyes closed, I tried to decipher the babbling creek and the 2-lane road that passed by there. With all that silence, that 2-lane road was a busy 6-lane. That creek babbled loud like a roller coaster, but it was therapy. It listened better than any partner I've ever known. It showed more patience than I give myself. It continued to change and to move, and it moved, and it moved, and it moved me. I started writing poetry in mind. The sound of the bell that summoned us to group meditations became as soothing as my dad's voice singing, Numi, Eitan Sheli. And my mother telling me everything's okay when I woke up from that weird nightmare when I fell off a chairlift. But now safe, calm, back to sleep. I no longer held a grudge against the grade school bullies. Forgave my brothers for picking on me. I felt compassion for my angry coworker. I felt for him and the irritability, and I sent him well-wishings of equanimity. But if Vipassana meditation taught me one thing at all, it's impermanence. Because the next thing I knew, I resented everything. That bell that summoned us to group meditation shoved with force. It was an 18-wheeler encroaching on my heels, driving just faster than appeals, demanding my intention with intention, but I resisted how it feels. The mind wanders. The mind wanders slowly until it picks up the pace. Now it's pacing. Now it's racing. Now I'm preoccupied with it racing. I'm getting tired. Note it. Slow it down and rest by observing the body, observing the breath. On day 1, I was to be there for 10 days. It felt like forever. It felt like today here with you would never come. On day 11, I went home, I sat down, I tried to write, I tried to remember that one beautiful poem that I wrote in my mind. But it was gone. Well, I remain grateful of what moves through my life, and I move on. Thank you. I was all excited about like bantering a little bit in between. So this next one, the banter that I prepared, this is about, I guess that's about like personal change a little bit more. This one is more about collective change. We've seen some really cool things, some research that people have done in the past year, 5 years, recapping things that happened centuries ago. As a society, everything's always changing. I'm really curious to see what's going to be on this stage next year. But this is kind of about that, the change and going with the change as well. The Earth used to be flat. Contrary, though, to popular belief, they were well aware that the Santa Maria and its crew were in no danger of sailing over and off the edge of the Earth in 1492, and yet for some, the Earth being a sphere was a contentious issue. We spoke in a language of flat angle vectors, horizontal directions, and falsified victories, and we thought we knew what we were doing. We were committed to the truth that was, not the facts that were, and although contention persisted for many years, people came to terms that the earth was no longer flat. It became a simple matter of fact, and our language changed forever. This could be a poem about colonialism, about conquest and domination and untold history, and in some ways, it is. About occupying space and sound and the comforts of home. This is about oppressive language and behavior, about unsafe space and oppressive nature. The first time I heard a dirty joke, I laughed. I laughed at the absurd, like someone had just told me the earth is a giant ball spinning in space. Hilarious. Like the only thing I had ever known for certain was the edge of Terra, and like spherical geometry didn't teach the shadow using sunrise, sunset. And yet something about that joke quaked my flat earth vision into oblivion. Disrespectful and disgusting, then not disgust, just confused into collective acceptance. Sexist nonsense and racist bullshit and bad punchlines leave a bad taste in my mouth. Ignorance lingers like a bad smell. I try not to judge, but some people seem to have had bad body odor for years. I can still smell my own from years ago. And for some reason, it seemed as though no one ever said anything in opposition. People said so many two-dimensional things with no question, indoctrination, flat words, and bad form, and ignorance accepted as viable methods of navigation. But at least it seems people have stopped ignoring science, saying less nonsense while reflecting and digesting the historical context of certain commonplace concepts, constructs, and terms, many with long-forgotten origins. Derogatory everyday vocabulary. Derogatory vocabulary every day. You've all heard it before. I won't repeat any of that nonsense on this stage. Never repeat any of that nonsense. But one thing that has become quite exhausting is this argument that people are becoming too sensitive. So now others are feeling censorship, that there's a heavier prevalence of being offended, which leads to much more defensiveness. Well, guess what? Being sensitive is not the problem. Shutting people up and shutting people down and shutting people out is the problem. Being sensitive is not the problem. Oppression is. The truth used to be that the earth was flat. It was accepted, it was never corrected, and it was fact. But then the globe was discovered and our language changed accordingly. Well, it's not that people are becoming too sensitive. It's like the earth is no longer flat. Let's stop talking like it is. Yeah, this is fun. I'm having fun. Thank you. This poem is, I guess it seems on the surface it's about being happy, about trying to be happy. Right now, I'm gonna more so use it as about being honest. If you're feeling something inside, you don't necessarily have to hold it back. Vulnerability is a good thing. This poem also like puts me in a good mood, so I feel like a little selfish because I want to do it because it makes me feel good. I recently said goodbye to my 14-year-old husky a week and a half ago, and it's been a sad few weeks. I miss him very much, but this poem it brings happiness. So I'm going to do this poem for you. Thank you. Since I was a kid, my father would draw hearts. He would start by telling me, son, this is no ordinary heart. This heart is your heart. It seemed he was trying to impart some wisdom. He'd continue by saying the heart is special. You should listen. The heart is a muscle. It pumps healthy blood around the body. It beats, it maintains the body, and it's very, very strong. Now, this heart that I'm drawing on this piece of paper represents your heart. Now, the hearts would begin like most drawn hearts, with part of a yin-yang on one side, followed by another opposing piece. But that's where most drawn hearts cease. As for the hearts my father would draw, the one representing my own, he'd put eyes and a nose. And like the final piece of a puzzle, a beautiful smile would be added. He was trying to cultivate something, like farmers do, but growing awareness of what the heart can do. My father would tell me that the heart is a muscle and that the heart can smile. And I can see it. I've seen it. I can see it when you smile. I mean, when you really smile, I can see your whole heart smile. The smile may end on the curl of your lips, on the upturned ends of your mouth, but your smile begins within and maybe a bit further south. And when it comes out in full force, once it's fully risen within like the sunrise, it's so bright there's no confusion with dim. The smile brims to the surface. It bubbles, it boils like a kettle that's been signaling steam for a while. But before the kettle can sing, the source must get hot. And when it's hot, your eyes are two marbles caught in the rays of a sunny day. When you smile frequently, your frequency resonates at another level. Your smile adds decency to this world and makes it better, so let it out with no embarrassment. Because it ignites the air around you like you are some kind of science experiment. It's bright, like flash paper, but it doesn't dissipate as quickly. The sight helps to mitigate any sickness. It gives benefit. It's healthy. Your heart smiles like fireworks. It's bright, mesmerizing, colorful. It comes out in bursts. It can be loud. You should be proud. So your heart should smile as much as it can. But sometimes it can't. And when it can't, allow the residual sunshine from that previous sunrise. Allow the reflection off the moon to be a reminder to you that somewhere the sun is still shining. So don't be upset if you haven't smiled lately. My friends, you've smiled before. You will smile again. Don't force it. Take your time. Revel in stress. It's okay not to feel the heat sometimes. You could put that kettle to rest, but know that when you live with a smile in your heart, you can create fine art. You can connect and unite and tear down walls of segregation, lead protests, and be one-person demonstrations. So don't hold it back. I just ask you not to keep it down. If your heart feels like smiling, don't just let it be a frown that's turned upside down. No, wear that smile like a crown, like it's been bestowed on you by the powers that be, as if you were knighted by a grin. Now your smile is royalty. Own it like the jewel that it is. Since I was a kid, my father would draw hearts. He would start by telling me, son, this is no ordinary heart. This heart is your heart. And if your heart wants to smile, please, do me a favor. Drawing it, it's a good place to start, and sometimes it may feel safer. But if your heart is really smiling, don't just leave it on paper. Yeah. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do one more thing for you. Once again, thank you so much. This is an honor. All the speakers, all the organizers. Gabe. Holy shit. Gabe, for Gabe, one more time. One fine gentleman. I'm gonna do a little rap on top of a song. Lovely, lovely day. Thank you. For your sound people. If you want to bob your head, if you want to dance, whatever you want to do. Yeah. Yeah. The people that are right here, all the people sticking tight here, all the people just fight your fears, all my friends and all my peers, out of sight and all those near. We are right here and now, sticking high, not tight near the ground, new heights like a child who has grown up, from the young getting older, or wearing pants fully pulled up at half, they fill that full cup. High time for some bright eyes, these like minds bring a nice vibe, it's wild just how time flies, high fives around a campfire, 9 lives like a cat on a wire, don't conceal any white lies, no wheels so a bike ride, it's sunshine to the nightlife, yeah, this is how we're spreading the peace. Start by spreading your fingers in the shape of a V to the people.
One look at you,
And this is that part where you dance a little bit.
and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
Yeah. Yeah, we are right here to stay, make a face like it's a beautiful day. Only blue, no hue or feelings of gray. All in room for teaching, no hate. When confused, shit, you're overdue for a worthy debate. Values and attitudes that expose the mistakes. These ones are old that have changed, but now we're open to stay. Clear view is something new, no sight when focused of haze. Pesticides for those locusts of plague. Still got those problems today. Ha, they're solved in different ways, and to each their own. Yeah, this is how we're spreading the peace. Start by saying that word when you're ready to leave. To the people that are right here, all the people staying tight here, all the people just fight your fears, all my friends and all my peers, out of sight and all those near, we are right here. And then we dance, and then we dance, if that's what you want to do, that's what we do.
It's gonna be a lovely day.
Like the book of Genesis, I'm laying down my nemesis. I'm letting it go right off of the bat, no holding it back, I'm representing it. The killing false facts and cleverness. A weight's been lifted off, now that I'm soft, and I've been better ever since. Been up togetherness, having fun, and taking risks. No doubt you're feeling bad, sit back and think of better shit. It's better than churning in sadness and sulking when you're feeling down, right on the ground. Get up again with no regrets, get paid respect, and stay in check when you're faced by death. Better days are next, tame the stress. Life goes on even after atom bombs, remnants remain, but the people are standing strong. The people that are right here, all the people staying tight here, all the people just fight your fears, all my friends and all my peers, out of sight and all those near, we are right here. Give it up everybody, TEDxGuelphU, it's all you.